yeah, I saw her make that comment and I thought, oh my God, there's another one. So I went and looked and it was like 2013.
Right?
I'm like 2013.
That's what
And
I'm thinking.
I remember it because that's when I came off of the streets.
Oh, really?
And
Yeah.
yeah, I came off the streets in April of 2013. So it was about a 2 year period. And, um, and I got a laptop. My mom gave me a laptop and,
Hmm.
here, I'll tag you so it'll show
Okay.
up on your page. But yeah, so and that's when I started for the first time. Well, I was writing from the streets, and I had started Soulogy in March of 2012. At my soul's direction.
Right.
Go open a Facebook group and get going, and I'm like, what am I supposed to do? I mean, that was like 400 people, 600 people, you know.
Right.
And then in 2013, I started. I think I started doing Messenger and I started meeting people. You,
Hmm.
uh, that one man that transitioned, Bharat, he was an Indian. He had the turban on his
Oh,
head.
yes. Was he with
Uh,
us at the Third Testament at that time? I think he,
yeah, he
I'm
was,
sure.
he was, yeah, it was like mid 2013 and Muriel and quite a few. I mean, I'm,
Yeah.
struggling to remember these people, but yeah. And I go,
And
wow,
Terry.
that's like 11, 11, 12 years ago.
Yeah.
So,
And boy, have we boomed since then. Wow.
That's why I'm so anxious because I've always admired your energy and the way you conduct yourself. So, like meeting you now, it's like it's like totally. I know it's going to sound weird, but like meets my expectation. Like the sound of
Thank
your
you.
voice, the resonance of your voice, and just
Oh,
your demeanor. It matches, and so,
thank you.
but yeah. So, like I mean, people like, and then my friend from India, Gop, he's a poet.
Hmm.
Gapa Kumar. He was one of the ones I met because back then when I got the laptop, I started making taking pictures and altering the pictures and putting my words on them.
Yeah.
And then I did about 1,500 of them. And then I spent
Mhm.
like a year just putting them in groups all day long, all
Right?
different kinds of groups.
Oh my
That
God, I did all that too. I remember all that too. It
mm,
was like we were just on fire after 2012. It was
yeah,
like December 2012 was like boom.
yeah,
And yeah, I have quite a big story, and I think it's really an important one for people to hear
good.
because I want them to feel so empowered and understand where you can, start from and where you can go and the power of your soul.
Yes, well, that's what it's all about. I mean,
Right?
that's why I'm
Hmm.
here. That's why I'm having a between the last show and this show, I'm laying in the bed. Just I have to be silent and I have to be alone.
Yes.
Um, I just needed that time because to
Hmm.
reflect on what's happening and so on. But yeah, let me formally introduce you,
Okay.
Colleen Espino. I've known you since 2013, which is bizarre as I think about it. Like I said, when I first got a laptop and came off the streets after a couple of years in my awakening and started to interact and meet with people. And so we connected, and there was certain groups I think that we were kind of like attached to or mingling in. And yeah, we've exchanged messages a couple times. We've made comments and stuff. I mean, it's so weird too because when 2012 hit, it's like the internet exploded,
Hmm.
and you started to see all these empath groups and starseed groups and hippie groups and
Yep.
open
Lightworkers.
mind groups, and people started expressing and they started exchanging energy. That's what I picked up. Like, people like some people would like just send you an image. You'd say, "Hey, how's it going? Nice to meet you." And they'd send you an image and you'd get the
Yeah.
hit. You go, "Oh, wow." So, yeah, I'm really anxious to see. Welcome to the show.
Thank
And
you.
it's been a long time coming. But yeah, divine timing. The universe is never late and it's always on time.
Always perfect. It's amazing.
Uh,
It surprises me sometimes, in my life, just in my life, where I'm going from here to there to there. I'm never late. I'm always on time. It's perfect. And it blows my mind sometimes.
yeah. Yes. Yeah. There's been a lot of mind blowing. And you said that,
Hmm.
like where were we? and where are we now? I mean, it doesn't
Yeah,
even seem like what, let's just say that's what, 13 years, whatever,
something like that. 12 years
12
ago.
years. And I noticed a difference, but we want to hear what you've got to say about your journey because, as the individual goes, so goes the collective. And there is a common thread in all of our development and evolution. And I'm
Hmm.
anxious to hear your story because I just know bits and pieces of it. And
Yeah.
yeah, so
There's not very many people I've actually told. I haven't really shared that with a
oh,
lot of people. So,
all right.
um, I was, I grew up on a farm,
Mm,
um, and it was a very, had three younger brothers, and it was a severe dysfunction, very violent father, a lot of severe abuse. But at the same time, it was a really great way to grow up because I learned so much about work ethics and gardening and where things came from. And I think it was such a natural way to grow up living on a farm, playing as a kid, running around barefoot with animals and learning how to take care of all this stuff and work and the naturalness of it was beautiful. I ended up, I was raised predominantly probably Christian. We went to a few different churches. My parents took us here and there, but it was with a kind of a Christian background, yeah. And
mm.
so, age 15, I had to run away because there was
Wow.
some really bad stuff. And is it okay if I get a little raw and real here? Because I think,
That's what we do here at Soulogy. You can
right,
drop F
just
bombs. You
details.
can do whatever you want to do.
Well, it's one of my favorite words, on occasion, but it's not so much the F-bomb, but actually just the realness and the rawness of the stories that we live and the things we go through and how that either makes us or breaks us, in other words.
Right.
So at age 15, I ran away. I was raped at age 14 by a couple guys that rented a place on our farm from my dad, and I couldn't tell my parents,
Okay.
couldn't tell
So
anybody.
you're living on a farm. Oh,
Hmm.
wait a minute. My connection's doing something funny. Okay. You're living on a farm in
Hmm.
California?
Yes,
Okay.
Northern
And
California,
Northern
Vacaville.
California. What's
Hmm.
that?
Vacaville, it's up near Shasta County.
Oh, yeah, I know where that is.
Yeah.
Vacaville. Yeah, yeah. That's over by Weed. Weed, California.
Right.
Yeah, I've been up there. So you're living on a farm and it's a like so many of us, a dysfunctional kind of situation and then you were raped by boys or men that
Two guys. I mean, they were men. They're in their 20s. I was 14. I was still a virgin at the time. I had never,
mm,
had done that. So, I mean, it wasn't a violent rape, but it was against my will. So
wow,
there
God.
you go. There was no beating. There was just, secrecy and quiet, and you don't tell anybody because I knew my dad would kill him, and I knew that would wreck the family, and you go through all that stuff, and so you keep it to yourself, and so you deal with that kind of stuff. But because of the violence in the household, my mom, I helped her pack her bags, and she ran away because she had to get away from him too, and she couldn't take us all with him. So then we, as kids, were left there with the dad.
Wow.
So yeah, that was kind of a really harsh time,
How many
a
of
very
them
scary
how
time.
many children were there?
For three younger brothers, I was the oldest. So
Wow, that's
yeah, and
another
two
one.
weeks, yeah, and 2 weeks later, I had to, run away because my dad was starting to, make advances at me, and I just couldn't do it. I wasn't gonna stay there for that, so I ran away
Wow.
at 15. I've been on my own ever since.
God, the
So,
depth of the programming and conditioning and
oh God, yeah.
ancestral lineage and
Oh man.
wow,
Yeah, I signed up for the doozy on this trip.
well,
Oh
I
yeah.
think yeah, that's the sign of a strong soul.
Evidently, that's what I'm told, or that's what I can feel, actually. I can feel that
Mm,
because, I mean, let me go on, not diverge too much from the story so people get things in a linear
mm,
fashion here and they can see the progression of the soul or of consciousness through all this, which is really interesting to me. I find it fascinating how that stuff doesn't necessarily haunt me, all those things that happen to me anymore. But I'll get to that. But let's
mm.
start with I ran away at age 15, so I went to the big city for the first time, scared to even ride a bus, didn't even know where if I was going to get off on the right, knew nothing about that.
Where did you go to Bakersfield?
I went
Or
to, yeah, Bakersfield, because that's where my mom had run to, so she
okay.
had actually covertly come and picked me up at a rendezvous point.
Uh,
Had to leave my boyfriend, my school friends. I couldn't tell anybody where I was going. They were freaking out. It was really a big deal back then.
wow.
But it was a long time ago. I was, like I said, 14. I'm 60 now, by the way.
I'm
Just this
63.
year. 63.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're ripe
64
old
in
wine.
December. Mhm.
It's a good old age of wine here going on.
I hope
That's what
so.
I think. I think so. But so anyway, I moved to Bakersfield, and then, it wasn't good. My mom had a new boyfriend and he was an alcoholic, and I didn't really care for that. So I was kind of, hanging out with some 20-year-olds. I was still at 15, and they were really good kids. They were good to me, but they were still into, you know, partying stage. That was when everybody was going nightclubbing and,
Hmm.
you know, smoking pot and doing their thing and doing drugs and experimenting and stuff. Hopefully we all grow out of that stage. Anyway, so I ended up marrying one of the kids there, one of the guys there, and divorced 8 months later.
How old were you when you got married?
I was 16?
16,
No, sorry, 18. It's
18.
hard to pull these memories back
I know.
sometimes.
I know.
It's really hard to pull them out. So, yeah, that didn't last very long, and he was a good guy. It was just, drugs were involved, and when you're beat up and you're abused and you have no identity and you know, you're messed up. So a lot
Yeah.
of kids and a lot of us go towards drugs and alcohol and that kind of thing, in order to cope, or in order to be accepted, or just as a way of life. We just don't know any better at the time. Anyway, so let me come back to my notes here. I ended up in a 14-year relationship after a few years. Life goes on and we do some things, and I worked and I did a whole bunch of different jobs and, waitressing and bartending. And then I put myself through school to be medical transcriptionist. And while I did that, I was climbing billboard signs 120 feet in the air to put myself through school. I've done a lot of different stuff in construction and all kinds of different things.
Good gosh.
Yeah, it's been kind of interesting. So then I got together with this guy and we were together for 14 years, and that led to, and I didn't know he was using at the time he moved in. He ended up being an IV meth addict. So there I
Wow.
went on a 14-year bender on IV meth. Okay, up until 2010. This is
Now,
where it
were
gets.
you using too?
Oh yeah, I
Okay.
started to. I
Yeah,
allowed
yeah.
him to influence me,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I started to, and so it,
Yeah,
it
yeah, I
grabbed
got
me
you.
too.
Yeah, yeah, I got
And
you.
then
I've been there.
right? Been there, done that.
Yep.
So I was living in Missouri, Springfield, Missouri at the time. I moved from California, went out there for 20 years. And at some point in this journey, and this is where it's going to get really interesting, I realized, this isn't what I want. This is not where I want to go. I know where this is going. I know where this road ends. So I started reading my Bible again, real deep, and
Mm.
praying. And then one night I'm sitting there in this drug house, and I'm thinking, not good thoughts, not good thoughts at all. Suicidal thoughts, thoughts about all the gaslighting that was going on. Just reached my probably deepest point, my bottom. So I was watching. It was like middle of the night, 2 or 3 a.m., and I'm watching this church program, right? Because I was trying. I think my soul was just trying to pull me out of there somehow. So I was tuning into that stuff as if I could get it to give me the inspiration or what I needed to get me out of that situation. So I'm watching this guy, and there's a black preacher guy on there, and he said something that made me jump off the couch instantly. He said, "This is the year of the dream," and it sounded like a code word. That felt like some code word. I was like, boom, shot up off the couch. I'm drenched in sweat instantly. I start running around the little house, grabbing my stuff as I'm getting out of here. This is not what I had planned. I'm done. I'm gone. Keep everything. I'm gone. So I run out. It's the middle of the night, dark, of course.
Wow.
Yeah, run out down the street, run across another street, down another street, praying, God, find me a Christian's home, right? I go, I see this light, this porch light. I run towards that light. I knock on the door, and the door opens, and they say, "Come in, we're Christians." Is that kind of
What?
bizarre? Yeah.
All right, let
Yeah.
me just make sure I'm not missing anything. So you
Yeah.
go the thing you're with this guy 14 years. You have the meth thing going, and then you're watching this guy on TV, and he says, "This is the year of the dream." You
Yep.
pop up, you start breaking out of sweat, grab all your shit, and get the hell out of there, and literally run down the street and say, "Give me a Christian home."
take me to a
Yeah.
Christian's home.
Okay.
And I made a beeline for this porch light and knocked on the door, and they opened the door, said, and I said, I need some help. They said, come in, we're Christians. And so, yeah, I went in and I said, I need you to get me to the hospital. I'm not okay. I need some help. So I ended up, they said, that's okay. They tried to give me some water, and they had a cop come and they gave me a ride to, the hospital. And of course, at that point, you're going to end up in the psych ward
Yeah,
for,
of course. Yeah.
for whatever reason. But
We've all been there and done
where
that.
I needed to be at the time, honestly,
Yeah.
where I
Yeah.
honestly needed to be at the time, and thank God they exist because they can be a good help. So while I'm in there, so oh, by the way, so for 20 years during this whole time, I've gotten multiple diagnoses for fibromyalgia, for anxiety and panic disorder, for bipolar disorder, for all this stuff. But all the drugs and all the dysfunction and all the abuse. And looking back, that's what I see it was now.
Hmm.
So I was on, probably, God, I want to say probably 10, 12 different medications that
Hmm.
the, pharmaceuticals they'd had me on, and many very addictive,
Of course.
opiates, sedatives, all kinds of psych meds, all kinds of stuff. And so I went in there and I detoxed in here for about 2 weeks. I mean, they were still giving me some meds while I was there, but detoxed the meth and everything for 2 weeks. But on the first 2 days that I was there, the most incredible thing happened to me, which really helped to forward my awakening and get it started. I was in isolation because I just couldn't be around anybody. I was in an isolated room with a little metal table. I had the, hospital gown on, and you're laying there, and I'm laying to myself, and in your head is just a mess, and you're just going, all these thoughts are going on, and you're just having, all the medications messing with you, and nothing's working right. And so I said to myself, you know what, if I'm gonna die, then let's let it happen, man.
Right.
I'm done. And I remember talking to myself and saying, I hear that when you die, your bladder goes and sometimes you defecate or something like that. And I said, well, let's do it. So I went ahead and let my bladder go. I thought I was going to just jump out of my body and be gone. And, whatever happened, happened. But by doing that, by actually facing my death, little did I know at the time that blackness that I faced, that jumping past that fear of death, was going to awaken me. And so in that moment, I had an incredible vision of myself being naked and like 9 years old and squatting against this wall in this tomb, reminiscent of the tomb of Christ, okay? So with angel wings on my back, and I'm crying, and this being opens this door looked like the stone that was rolled away. Okay, and there's this light being. Now keep in mind, prior to this, I didn't know anything. I knew nothing about chakras. I knew nothing about Kundalini. I knew nothing about anything. I had studied a few religions at university. That was it. I didn't know anything about energy. I didn't know anything about all this stuff we've learned in the last, well, I've learned in the last 12 years. So I had nothing to go on. I didn't see Jesus. I didn't see angels. I saw a being of light that looked like it was in a humanoid form, but had no facial features and no skin. It
Right.
was just glowing, and it spoke to me telepathically and downloaded intense and incredible large concepts into my mind and said that I'm going to walk you out of your mind, and now you've got to go do this for others. And so that's when I woke up, and I came out of isolation within 2 hours or so, and they had me in with the regular group over the next few days or the next week or so. And even the administrator of the hospital came down to witness what had happened to this girl overnight, how she went from this to this, because I was leading groups in the room, and I was seeing things in people and the people and the patients that were there. And I knew instantly that they weren't all crazy, okay? They're seeing stuff, they're talking to spirit.
Yeah.
They shouldn't be medicated, all of them. They need, a lot of this is spiritual stuff going on that they don't know what to call, and then people have labeled,
Right.
mental illness. And I knew that that was wrong.
About what
I knew,
year was this? Was this late 80s?
this was in 2011.
Oh, 2011. Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Okay. I got
right,
you.
right.
Okay. I
Okay,
got
so
you. Yeah.
we're working up to
Wow.
the December
Isn't that
2012.
amazing? That's when mine happened. Was in
Is it really?
May 30th, 2011. Yeah.
Wow. Amazing. Well, it wasn't actually a total awakening at that point. It was just, I think I was still under the influence of too many pharmaceuticals and whatnot, but I was coming out of it. So after that, I left. I left. I got out. I went to put myself in rehab, stayed there for 2 weeks, got done, never turned around, never looked back, never had dreams, never picked it up again, just turned around and walked away. I was done after 14 years. And then the next thing was to move out to California. My mom had Alzheimer's, and so my brothers needed help taking care of her. So I stayed with one of my brothers for a while when I first moved out here. And he had schizophrenia. He was messed up from drugs too. So I stayed in this broke down, this really broke down fifth wheel in the back of his house that had no running water and no electricity. I had a cord, long extension cord out there. I had nothing but a suitcase full of clothes. And what I was relating everything to, all these experiences, was the Christian story. Literally in my head as I was going through this and living through it, it was relatable. I felt on the road to Damascus. I felt like, that kind of thing was going on. I didn't really put it together completely until much later. But so I was living in that house, and my mom had Alzheimer's, and I just wanted to make that point because I started with nothing,
Right.
not a
Right.
car, a suitcase full of clothes, nothing. I was on disability at the time. My checks didn't come because I moved. I walked down the stairs, walking everywhere. It's a small town, Lake Isabella, so it was a safe town, rather than being in a big city. Thank God I was here.
Yeah, we were doing the same thing at the same time.
Really?
Except I was in the big city and it wasn't safe.
Right? No, thank God. But for a female, it would be even probably worse.
Absolutely. Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And I'm like 5'1", 125 pounds at the time. Or no, at the time, I retract that. I was 165 pounds. All the medications and all the other
Yeah.
stuff
Yeah.
had made me gain 65 pounds in weight. So once I moved out here, and my mom passed, and I found a little house, and I moved into it, and I just stopped taking all the meds. Cold
Yeah.
turkey.
Wow.
All
That's tough.
cold turkey. That was heavy. And I didn't even think to myself that, oh, you shouldn't do this or you can't do this. And there was no doctor's care I was under. I couldn't get refills, so I just did it. And I was having, muscle cramps and withdrawals and, screaming at Satan in the house, walking up and down.
Of
I mean,
course.
it was horrendous. It was
Yeah.
intense. And praying the whole time and taking lots of baths and changing my food to eat more naturally and getting my first laptop too and researching everything I could think of on how to heal.
Mhm.
And so it took a good couple months for the worst of the withdrawal symptoms to go away. And then my brain started operating better. Neurotransmitters were firing more correctly. And as soon as that happened off those meds, that's when I had the major awakening. That's when I was online one day and I was having conversations with lots of different people, and some were Christians and others were not. And I was coming into being exposed to a lot of the alternative, light worker stuff and starseeds. And I was fascinated. I think, wow, this is really cool. And there was a conversation, I can't remember what it was, but I just remember getting so mad, so angry. And I stood up and I said, you know what? This is all bullshit. This whole life is bullshit. What's going on here? This is not life as it's presented in the Bible as it should be. I'm not living life the way it should be. Where's my life? How do I get that kind of life? And I said, at this point, I'm so mad. I'm mad at Jesus. I'm mad at everybody. I was so angry. I said, I don't even trust Jesus. I don't trust anything or anyone. I'm going straight to the Father myself. And bam, taken out of my body instantly.
Mhm.
Instantly.
Mhm.
Instantly. It was the most incredible experience. I'll never forget it. I remember, there was like darkness. It was a vision, of course. In your mind, everything happens there. But there was a couple of beings there, and I don't have a full focus on what they looked like. I just remember my hands being outstretched like this and my head being bowed and thinking I'm receiving some kind of anointing. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
That's the only word I knew to refer to what that was.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what it is. I don't know. And then I was back in my body. And I all of a sudden started having flashes looking around me. I remember watching the Celestine prophecy, and I understood the process of creation and how creation works, and quantum physics, and everything was understood in that moment.
Right.
It was a very temporary moment, but you could have answered anyone's question about anything at that time.
Yeah.
It was
Wow.
incredible. Yeah. Pretty
That's
cool.
that's that's exactly. I mean, it's different words and the story
Right?
is a little different, but it was the same
Yeah.
time, and that was the same thing for me.
Yeah.
It was the
December of
same
2012 is when it happened, actually. It was by that time it was December.
December 2012. Yeah, so I was in it about a year and a half, but
Yeah.
it was yeah, it was about a 2 year. It was 3 7 month periods. That's how
Okay.
mine rolls. And so it
Interesting.
was kind of ended. It ended in that December, or I would say ended, but because each one of them was like a new awakening or something. But
Yeah. There were more
so wow,
revelation after
yeah,
revelation. I stayed alone. I stayed alone. I really cloistered myself up and stayed alone for almost 6 years just to integrate all that was happening and the continual revelations and the understanding of scripture the way I'd never understood it before. I mean, I realized most people are being taught a literal view of this and they don't
yeah,
understand what they're
yeah,
teaching.
yeah,
They don't understand what being born again really is. And
yeah,
this was it. If you
yeah,
could refer to it as being that, that's what it was.
yeah.
Um, yeah, it
That's what
was
That's what I call it. That
right.
to
Just
me,
being,
that's like that's one of the things that I came out of it was
yeah,
looking at that phrase "born again" and going, "Oh, now I get it. Yeah, I
right,
totally get
right.
it." And
Right, and no man laid a hand on me. You know what I'm saying? I
right, right,
understood scripture in that,
right, right.
in the deeper esoteric meaning of
Yeah,
what was going on, and then then I was like a freight train going through information and just researching madly, just pulling in like a sponge anything I could. I didn't know what to call it. All I knew to call it at the time was this oneness
yeah,
experience. So I started typing in Google, what's the oneness experience? And so it led me on a trail to finding, all I knew it was the interconnectedness of all things. That was the word that came to me. I realized I was the universe because I was out there looking at the earth from, as if I wasn't on it. And I could see a grid of a light grid around it and
hmm
everything, every creature, every human, everything was made of light. It was like a point of light on the earth. So it was very interesting.
yeah.
And it
Like
has been ever since.
you became Lucy, like in that movie.
Yeah, yeah, you could. Yeah, it was really
Yeah,
cool
see,
too.
yeah,
And so now it's like everywhere I look on movies or songs or anything I read or hear, I'm always seeing the metaphor and the symbology and seeing so much deeper into things because I started seeing more deeply into myself. I needed to spend that 6 years understanding why I'd been in an abusive situation. How did that happen? How did I keep going from abusive relationship to abusive relationship afterwards? And
yeah,
I knew it had to start with me somewhere, with my frame of reference and my early experience. So I started healing myself. Emotionally, I took domestic violence courses online for 2 years and learned to understand that I had to change in order for my life to change.
yeah, yeah. That was the big message for me. Like that first 7 months was, like you said, it was just walking, 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 and that was by my own choice because I could have called family, I could have gotten help,
Right.
but everything was gone. Everything. But like I had
Yeah.
no kids for the first time in 23 years to be
Wow.
taken care of. I had no house, I had no car, I had no money, I had no job. I just had the clothes on my back, like you said. And but that was the first thing because I was walking around and I had this huge hole in my heart. And I feel like you can really relate to this. And the things that had occurred, I knew I had a big heart. I knew I was a good person. I
Yeah.
knew I intended to do the right things. Yes, things got a little bit heavy and there was lots of different pressures.
Right.
But but it was such a what would I say? Like judgmental and condemning environment. You
Hmm.
know, this oppressive, which could be abuse of some nature or another, I guess you could say, whatever. It shows up in different ways. But very quickly, uh, what came in to me was at the time, what I could understand, a lot like your story,
Yeah.
was the consciousness of Jesus, right?
Hmm.
Came in. And so was
Yeah.
walking with me and talking to me. And
Yeah.
people think I'm crazy and,
Oh
whatever.
no,
I
I was
didn't
being
care.
schooled.
Right? Exactly.
Yeah, I
But
was being
but
schooled.
at some point, very quickly, he told me two things. One was the best thing, because I was obviously worried. I've got young children; they're in a dangerous situation,
Yeah.
and I heard, look, the best thing you can do is put yourself in the best possible spiritual health. That's the best thing you can do for them, even if you never see them again.
Yes,
And I
for
was
the
like,
whole
wow,
collective.
right?
Yeah.
And then I heard, you know, because I'm the type of person that once I know, let's just cut to the chase,
Yeah.
even if it's painful. So there, you know, there my awakening was 2 years walking on the street
Mm.
to get it out of the way. But
Yeah.
not, and that sounds easy, but it wasn't. And you know what I'm talking about.
I
But the
do.
other thing that came in pretty quick once I realized what was happening, it was kind of like this. Um, Forget about your circumstances. Forget about you know, whether they're circumstances or their consequences of your
Hmm.
actions or someone, it's all irrelevant because what
Sure.
matters is where you're at now and what are you doing?
Exactly.
And I'm thinking,
Exactly.
man, I'm 50 years old. I'm walking on the street homeless, and I used to be a national guy with a Home Depot and you know all this other stuff and successful.
Right.
And it all just went out the window. And the third thing that happened was he came in one day, and it was early and 3 or 4 months into it, and and he says, you know, you don't have to suffer anymore. And I went, oh shit, that's easy for you to say.
Right.
But I got what he meant because I think I feel like that part of what we were conditioned to, programmed to, was that we displayed love by the level of our sacrifice,
Mm.
and that was bull.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah,
I
that
knew
was
that being a martyr and sacrificial was,
yeah,
nope, not
yeah,
anymore.
yeah.
That was like, cut that off, that idea right off right now. Yeah.
I mean, just what you've told us so far is mind blowing. Like I know, I obviously done so many of these shows. I've met people all over the world, and I know a number of people that had this, you know, had this relationship with the pharmaceuticals and the same type of story, psych wards, misdiagnoses, you know, and then just said, "I'm done." Now,
Yeah.
I don't know that I know more than two or three that did it cold turkey, but you
I don't
know,
recommend it.
no, no,
I don't
anyone
recommend
that's
or
had
anybody
any,
try that. Don't ever try that. Not just because I did it doesn't mean
yeah,
everybody can. I don't know what God got me through it somehow.
yeah,
I don't know
yeah,
if I even I even suspect I probably died and then came back for a second.
probably,
I don't know. But it
probably.
was not the right way to do it probably. It was a way to do it. I don't know if
It was
I would never
your way.
advise anyone to do that.
It was your way.
It was my way.
It was your way.
It worked for me. I'm
So
not.
so you're now we're into post 2012 and
Mm,
you've had all this occur
mhm.
and you start uh you know get your laptop and you're researching and you're you know that's another thing I think that's helped us a lot too is we
Mhm.
learned so fast during these last
Right?
12 14
Like
yeah
quantum
because
speed.
yeah. So
Yeah.
and then where do you go from there? Were you because you heard that you were to do it for yourself and then take it to other people.
Yeah. Well, then, I mean, just putting my own life together took,
Mm,
you know, 6 years just to get right with myself. And I understood the concept of getting right with yourself was the same as getting right with God. You know, people go out there saying, get right with God. It's getting right with yourself is to get right with God.
true.
To forgive yourself is God forgiving you at the same
Yeah,
time. It's all
that's
done,
right. Yeah.
done.
Yeah, there's that
So,
other one. Yeah, because you cannot love anything outside yourself more than you love yourself. If you want to
no.
just
And
put it in less, you know, I mean, it's the truth.
yeah. And I started learning to love myself and finding
Mm,
out that all those places where I was abandoning myself or judging myself or condemning myself, and the wrong thoughts and the implanted, beliefs from parents, teachers, pastors, well-meaning perhaps, school, bullying in the schoolyard, whatever, all that stuff came up to be looked at and worked through. And I was held so softly and so gently. It felt
mm,
like I was going through a life review while I'm in my flesh instead of, people talk about doing it after you die.
mhm.
I was going through it now. And
That's what
I was,
yeah,
you know,
that,
and
that's,
you're
yeah,
taken back to look at that stuff. But I was held in such a place where the emotional charge or the memory of it didn't affect me anymore. It was like, just matter of fact, like
yeah,
watching a movie,
yeah,
watching a movie.
yeah. So that's you know I've been you know and I've heard others talk about it, but I mean that seems to be something that I've noticed in the field these last a year and a half
Mm,
is we're having a life review in form.
Yeah.
and as opposed to an out of body experience, near death experience, or after you actually transition. But now that I hear you say this, that's exactly what you did, and
Hmm.
that's what I did.
Yeah.
That's what that was. When I right when I came off this, because I was in the system. I was in the system at a psychiatric and at a legal. I was on probation, and I was still, burning the candle at both ends, which was the way I did it, and I wouldn't recommend it. Angels in the
Right.
afternoon and devils at night, and I learned a lot about dark and light. I
Yeah.
sat with the
Oh,
demons. That
yes, I
was
did.
Yeah, that was my. I think that was part of my
Training.
specifics was to sit with the darkness, and I
Yeah.
still do from time to time, but not like the old days.
Hmm.
But anyway, yeah. So that's what happened. It was not just seeing your life replayed. It was seeing the connectivity
Yes.
and the unconscious creation of what you were
Hmm.
experiencing. Like you said, you went from this abusive to this abusive to why was this happening? But the thing that I really had to work on, and I spent years, I'd say probably from 2011, but in force, I'd say probably to say like, when I came off the street and things started to turn a little bit. So 2013 probably till at least 2019, and not that I'm still not working on things, but
Me too.
but was forgiveness was forgiveness, because it's
Yeah.
one thing to say it
Hmm.
to these antagonists in our life, or whatever, the victimizers,
Hmm.
whoever played those roles, but
Right.
it's another thing to feel it.
Yeah.
And so I
For it to
would
be
pull
authentic.
Yeah, I would pull these people up in meditation every day. And then when I got onto
Wow.
Facebook and doing this, I would come across different energies. And when you're out there as much as I am, you're gonna
Yeah.
have different things come at you. And so I would pull their Facebook pages up every day, and I
Mm.
would look at them, and
Yeah.
I would take it as far as I could, with the ultimate goal seeing myself in them. And
What a
it's
great practice.
You know what I mean? Well,
Awesome
it
practice.
took go. it,
That's
it was
amazing, Todd.
it was a long, but you know what I feel now is, and this is very recent. Like, even
Hmm.
talking to you, like now, there's two things. Right, I almost started crying a minute ago because I got chills really bad, because I have lucid dreams, like
Hmm.
really powerful lucid dreams, and I had a series of them last night, and there was this one major part that I could not understand. And now I'm listening to you tell me about the abuse and the things that you went through, and I start to realize what it was. So that was one. But what I was going to say is, also talking to you on the linear timeline, it's 13 years after we met, which doesn't make sense because I've done thousands of shows and you'd be one to come on. But it does make sense because I can see myself in you. Like, I believe
Interesting.
that's the well it's so hard to like identify and
And you're,
characterize this that you're talking about. That's why it's so important for the people to tell these stories. But
yeah.
if I look at like Jesus or Yeshua, healing, even if it's someone else, what's that person being called the healer really doing? That person is reflecting back that person.
Yeah. You're
So
healed. You're
you know what I
healed
mean? So they're
state.
reflecting, yeah. So I'm noticing over this summer, from time to time, I'm seeing people, I'm seeing my light in the people. And what I
Wow.
mean by that is it used to be we would look at someone and go, oh, they're this and they're that. And
Right.
you know what I mean? But now it's like the good stuff's coming back. It's
Oh,
reflecting back.
cool.
Yeah. So maybe
That's
that's something that's occurring. I feel like it would be a part of the natural progression of our evolution, if this
hmm
it can't be a bunch of mumbo jumbo. There's too many people that
It's
that
not.
are. Yeah, no, it's not. There's too many, you know.
It's so real.
I know
It's
it.
so real. And yeah, I think that there was something I wanted to not forget. Where was it? Oh, I think I covered most of that. So, no, I think I did most of it. But you were talking about bringing up the collective and maybe what we see happening in the collective, maybe right now. And as we're talking, I'm seeing the we all know it's all one energy, one power,
Hmm.
and there's a law of opposites, in effect here. And I started learning about universal law, and I started studying that and studying hermetic principles and different things. So I've really been schooling myself. I mean, nonstop. I've been an avid reader since I was 9 years old. But as my life progressed, as I progressed in consciousness, as in expanding and loving myself, and my life started, progressing. So I got a little job, and then I started working in elderly home health care and with hospice and people that were transitioning. And I got quite a good reputation where I live in doing that kind of work. I worked privately for people that didn't have the system to fall back on. They made too much money or something. So I worked with them, and a lot of round the clock care and running teams of girls that were taking over because we can't do it 24/7. So you have to bring in other people to help. And, so
Wow.
as I started building that kind of reputation and function for my local community, my life started getting better too. I had no car at the time. I started out with as a bicycle, right? Okay.
Mm.
In 2013, was it? Yeah, a bicycle. And then as I made a little bit more money, I grabbed myself one of those motorized bicycles with the little engine on it. So then I rode around on that for a while. And then I got an electric scooter, and then I finally graduated to a truck, a real vehicle, you know,
I remember that. You took a picture of that and you
right?
post. Now I know the story behind it. No wonder it was
Right.
such a big deal. Yeah, that's a nice truck. That was a few years ago.
That
That-
was a blue truck in the beginning.
Yeah.
And then I, finally got to the point where I felt I was clear enough, and because I didn't want to get into another relationship and drag anything
Yeah.
back into another relationship and just redo the same
Yeah.
scenario, So I was really attempting to heal myself of any abusive tendencies that I'd picked up from being abused. I didn't want
Yes.
to pass that forward, right?
Yes.
So really working on myself hard and not trying to be the best person, but knowing and uncovering that best person that was already there
Yeah.
that,
Yeah.
that got,
I don't
got a
I
little bit
don't
loose.
know that people, there's a lot of talk about in these circles, even going back to 2012, empaths and narcissists, right?
Yeah.
Remember that there was a lot of
Yep.
groups that were talking about it, and
Yeah.
I've come to for myself, for my own understanding. I'm not saying it's the gospel. I'm just saying
Hmm.
I believe this realm. First of all, there's a divine purpose in everything.
Hmm.
So this is a big school that we all had a hand in creating. You know what I mean? I mean, it's
Yeah.
oneness is
I do.
oneness, but
Yeah.
that the realm itself is narcissistic because
Yeah.
because it has the attitude of, do as I say, not as I do. You
Yeah.
know, like there's that exceptionism, and so on an individual level, many people are very sensitive, and
Hmm.
they find themselves in that dynamic.
Hmm.
And you make a very good point, and I don't feel that it's talked about enough. But I can speak from my own experience. Again, it sounds very much like your story. And what I'm saying is that if you're in an environment like that, and from your perception, you are the sensitive, you are the empath.
Hmm.
That type of dynamic is an irrational, codependent, toxic, you know, give and take kind of thing, right? You can't be rational in that type of environment. And I think that's what a lot of people like you and the people that come on the show have tried to do. Oh, I was sensitive when I was young, and then I
Hmm.
tried to fit in, and and then all hell breaks loose. But I think one of the things that happens, and you spoke to it, and I don't think I've ever heard anyone say this other than me, but and that is that because you were engaging with that type of energy, it does imprint upon you.
Hmm.
It does.
Yeah.
Unconsciously, you take on certain uh,
Traits.
traits, yeah, and characteristics,
Hmm.
and it's a tremendous, to me, it's a tremendous bow
It is.
to hear someone say, I that I was even open to that within myself.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Well, I
Like I,
think when
re-
we're
I
kids,
you
when
know,
you're young, you don't have a choice. Your
yeah,
father's the
yeah,
narcissist and you're the empath as a child.
yeah,
You're going through developmental stages.
yeah,
And I want to share this with everybody out there too. If you're having a hard time forgiving yourself, understand that as we progress and go through those developmental stages, it's all age appropriate, you
yeah,
know?
yeah,
It's all age appropriate until it isn't.
Yeah.
until we reach a point when we have to take control and start to repair the damage that's been done as much as we can. That's my opinion, but
Yeah. What's that meme? It says, traumas, your traumas weren't your responsibility, but basically by a certain
right.
age, it's your responsibility to clear them, kind of
It
thing.
is. And
You
I
know.
knew I couldn't blame my dad or my childhood
Yeah.
anymore, and I wasn't going to ride that train. I want to stand on my own 2 feet. I want
Yeah.
to make myself into something here. I wanted
Yeah.
to, not live as a victim and going through all that, living through poverty and
Right.
victimization. I mean, and then being able to turn that around and now living in abundance,
Yeah.
that to me is a miracle.
Absolutely. It's a
It's a
hero's journey.
miracle,
It's the
right?
resurrection. It's
Yes.
it's all of those
Yes.
stories, really, when you think about
That's
it.
so cool. And I'm just
Yeah.
so excited to have this
Well,
conversation with you.
oh, me too. Yeah.
It's
Are you are
awesome.
you in a hurry? Or you need to
No,
Okay,
no, I'm
cool.
good. I'm a little
May-
antsy because I'm excited.
Maybe no, I'm just saying because we're coming up on an hour, and I thought maybe
Are
we could
we?
go another
No,
45 minutes or so.
we
But
can keep
anyway,
going.
yeah, no, I'm totally with you there. The thing is too, because that's why one of the reasons that I love doing the show is because each one of the shows is like a session. I don't know who the client is or who the.
Right?
It's not really. It's just, but it's this exchange where the transparency and the retelling carry code or carry information or turn you on or whatever you want to call it.
Right? Activation.
But like another thing that you're exhibiting to me, which took me a while,
Yeah.
on the road to forgiveness. Like, I'm looking in the wrong place, even though I was going through all these machinations and efforts. And that was when I started to forgive myself. Now, that started in 2021. And I didn't fast, but I did a juice diet. It was about 90% juice for about 9
Wow.
months. And so I was obviously, when you do stuff like that, all this stuff comes up or whatever.
Yep.
But that was it. I would have these memories come in and I would go, the first thing I would say is no judgment,
Yep.
about myself. And so
Right.
what I'm saying is when I took the emphasis off of trying to authentically forgive those bad actors in my life, whatever, um, and put it upon myself,
Yes.
then I started to, hit pay dirt and I started to make progress. And there was an immediate unilateral effect. So I
Wow.
didn't even have to go back and try to forgive the antagonist or victimizer because I'd reached a place where, because of my awareness of myself, I was able to see them. In other words, what happened to
Mm.
that person?
Right.
What
Exactly.
happened? Right. So like it,
Yeah.
and then it kind of, even
Exactly.
the playing feels like, okay, wait a minute. We're all subjected to the human condition,
Yeah.
which means that we all have that in common, which
Right.
means you can't hold anything against anybody because we all went up against the same resistance or
What we
force.
hold against ourselves, we hold against other people, as within, so without. That is
Yeah.
how it works. That
Yeah.
is how it works. In order to forgive myself, I realized, that it wasn't about forgiving other people, and this is coming from some of my studies afterwards,
Yeah.
that the old Aramaic word forgive meant to let go and of what's in your own heart, had nothing to do with out there. It has
Mm,
everything to do with the in here. So if I could forgive myself for, the small transgressions I had made against myself, even,
right.
you know, or other people. I don't think I've made any super major ones against other people because I was too naive and too. I was born pretty gentle in this world. I'm not, done some horrendous crimes out
Yeah.
there. So, but I have done some horrendous crimes against myself
Yeah.
that,
Yes.
I had to remove, and that condemnation from there, or that sense of shame and guilt. And I
Yeah.
realized going into the shame and the guilt was where the gold was, because once you can, work through that stuff and forgive yourself all that stuff, then you're carrying a higher vibe. You're dumping your baggage. You're
Yeah.
you got to travel light to be light, right?
Well, and that's another good point, though. The wisdom of the life review, like the shame thing. Like
Yeah.
that's another thing. Like so, I was trying to get myself to a certain frequency by forgiving the other people,
Right.
but it wasn't until I forgave myself that I could hit that frequency. You know what I mean? And the
Yeah.
same went with Shame. I think shame, if I'm not
Hmm.
mistaken, shame is the lowest level on the what is it called? The
Or
uh,
despair, maybe
uh,
even worse
David
than that.
Hawkins. David
Yeah, David
Hawkins.
Hawkins.
Yeah, I think
Hmm.
it's so. Shame is like I think one of the lower ones.
It
But
is.
anyway, it was the same thing. It was like, okay, so something happens to you. You don't like you said, it's age appropriate. You don't know. You know, your parents get divorced. You think it's your fault, right?
Yeah.
Like a kid, you
Right.
know, or something happens to you and you get assaulted. And so you take on this shame, and you know, and of course it gets projected into judgment and condemnation of others, and you know, shame on you, shame on you.
Right.
But that
Blame
shame,
and all that.
the,
Hmm.
yeah, the shame was, you know, like I don't know. For me, it was more like, wow, well, why? You know, I'm ashamed that I shamed myself.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's what it was. It was
And it compounds.
like you know, that's not even there. It's not even
Right.
real. This
Right.
thing happened, and yet I'm carrying shame, which isn't even real.
Right. Like I
You
should
know?
feel ashamed that I got raped, and my
Yeah,
father tells me, "Well, it might have been your fault." And yeah, I went through some head trips and some
yeah,
gaslighting and some stuff.
uh,
And
yeah.
to me, it feels like this whole program is a huge gaslighting program.
Well, that's the narcissistic thing. That's what I'm
Right.
saying. If
Yeah.
you look at the realm itself
Yeah.
and the way
Hmm.
it shows itself, or let's say the one that's crumbling or being transformed, look at religion, look at you know, and I'm not talking about the sacred text. I'm talking about the institution of religion, of government, et cetera,
Hmm.
business,
Hmm.
capitalism, all of them. It is that's the way it operates. You're
Me,
seeing it
me,
right
me.
now.
Me, me,
Look at
me.
the examples right now, like the
Yeah.
Epstein, you know, like the Epstein,
Yes.
you know, like to come out and say we're going to release the list. I'm not political. I'm just making a point,
Right.
and then come out and say, oh, why are y'all asking about that? That's old news.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
what?
We're supposed to
And
sweep it all under the carpet, right?
yeah,
But my version or my vision of that as a looking at it collectively
mm,
of all this stuff that's coming out is a collective purge. I mean, I'm sure you've heard that before
yes,
from other
yes,
people, but it's the dark night of the soul from the whole collective and what we're purging and what all of us light workers and I do identify as that because I'm of the light, so I work in
yes,
light. So that's what we can all claim that if you like that, whatever. Um, that as much as we keep doing our shadow work, we're that part of the collective that keeps flushing it out and purging it and purging it. Like the 100th monkey effect, it's
yeah,
going out. We're going to see it reflected out there in the mirror of the world.
absolutely.
And so as we see it, as we get more, the rid of more of it from within us, the cleaner it's going to be. And I think that's where the new world's coming from, the new
I
world.
believe you. I absolutely. I mean, as within, without. You know, when we think of like above, below, below, above, when you think of the fluffy love and light things, you know what I mean? But this what we're watching is you know the effects of the cause of our efforts.
It's like being turned inside out
Yeah, I mean
in a way.
we're seeing the
Hmm.
shit, so to
Yes.
speak, that we had to go through ourselves, and we're continuing to do it, which means it's just going to continue to become
Yes.
more and more clear.
So I see like a demarcation point between what's authentic and what's inauthentic, what's truth and what's lies, right? I look at it that way. That's what it shows to me.
Yeah.
That we're seeing the lies getting flushed out because we're flushing out the lies where we lied to ourselves,
That's what I mean. That's what I mean.
right?
So it's showing up out there as opposed to the way it's
Yeah.
presented the other way around. Like we're going to show you what it's all about. No, 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 we've had enough of that.
No, no.
So
They
I
say the
guess
war is won on the inner planes,
absolutely yes.
right?
Okay, so I guess I have to. This is my cue. Okay, so
Okay.
last night I had the series of lucid dreams, and there's something
Oh
about what
yeah.
you brought up and what we're talking about now, and I don't even know what this means. So I am in I'm in a place, and there is a woman that's kind of like a mother energy, but like a mother energy that can't do anything about it, kind of thing. Kind of like your mom's situation, right?
Yeah.
That you talked about,
Right.
and I'm sure many people can relate to this.
Hmm.
Then there was this man, okay, and he had that energy. You know, I always say like the whiskey and the smoke and the beard on his face and uh, just grimy, you know, kind of thing. That energy, you know, that like you might say oppressor or whatever. And then
Yeah.
there was a little girl and a little boy. All right. Now
Hmm.
I don't know Was that me? I don't know, but I would say they were probably like maybe 5 years old. All right. So I walk in, and the man is with the little boy, right?
Hmm.
And then the next scene is I walk in and the man's with the little girl. And the lady's over here, and you could feel her heart, but she couldn't do anything. This is weird.
Powerlessness.
This is really weird. So
Powerlessness.
so then, in dreams, or at least in my dreams, I'm super soul. I mean, I can do whatever. So I pick the guy up by his ankles, flip him up in the air, and just start, because she said to me, "What are you gonna do?
Yeah.
What are you gonna do?" And I picked him up and I started slamming him. Now I
Hmm.
wasn't like in a rage. I wasn't in a rage. I was just like, we have had enough of
Yeah.
this.
Yep.
And I started banging him on the ground.
Mhm.
And I could feel that he got lighter and lighter and lighter. And so then
Hmm.
I just dropped it, and it was like a sheet or a towel. I mean,
Interesting.
that's what it felt like. And then I woke up and I thought, what the hell was that? Was
Illusion.
that some kind of picture of, we've hit this point where, we're just not going to allow this anymore. This is
Yeah.
not okay anymore.
The great
No.
pushback is coming.
Yeah. Something
It
like that.
is.
Like, people, because you think of the energy, Colleen, the energy of you saying, I've had enough.
Yeah.
I'm done. And
Hmm.
and and just that, to me, that's the born again thing right there.
It is.
That's it.
It's
You
part of
just
it,
go,
sure.
yeah, you just
Yeah.
go, I'm done. And
Yeah.
it's like you just turn it off. It's
Because
done.
you made this such a deep and exact determination or decision.
Yeah.
When you've made that kind of a decision, the universe bends to
Yeah.
that, and it just changes. You change everything, but
Yeah.
you have to get to that firm decision. And I think that a lot of us have been, too too pushed around way too long.
Yeah. Yeah.
And at some point, the bully in the schoolyard gets knocked down.
Yeah.
It's just the way it works. That's the energy dynamic I see. We're
Yeah.
getting to a point where they're gonna push, 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 push until you can't take anymore, and then the great pushback comes, and it goes the other way, and it comes back into balance.
Yeah. And even with all the spy versus spy, psyops type of, possibilities and things that,
Hmm.
I had the same thing with that too. Because I think a lot of people, when they wake up, they start to research that kind of stuff too. Like, oh,
Yeah.
9/11 and
Oh yeah.
this and that. And then you reach the point where you go, you know what? I
Yep.
say, I say to the same thing to that. That's
Yeah.
like, that's not, that was valuable for me
Yeah.
to learn, but it's not worthy of my attention. I've got other things to do, which
Exactly.
is me. I'm a full-time
Yeah.
job, you
Yeah.
know?
That's where I'm at right now. I went down the rabbit hole for several years, especially during COVID and things, and
Hmm.
learning how all the health, all the supplements and the different things and what was going on. Reading all the scientific papers. I'm a researcher. I like to study,
Mm.
and what was going on with the body, what was really happening. How do we combat this? How do we help ourselves? And so, I mean, I had it, 3 times. No, jab.
Right.
I don't do that. But I was very sick, and I'm still coming out of,
Wow.
a lot of the stuff that happened to our bodies. But I think a lot more of it happened to our minds, even more than our bodies.
That's exactly what
So,
it was. Well, that's what
yeah,
this whole thing is,
yeah,
isn't it?
it is.
I
It's
mean,
all
if you
mental.
look at like, there's so many different descriptions, like the jinns in the East, or the archons, right? Like
Right.
in the Nag Hammadi. So
Hmm.
they can't manifest. That force which we're speaking of cannot manifest. It can only present and distort,
Hmm.
right? And so you're right. I mean, look at the toilet paper thing. Like, that
Yeah,
was the craziest thing. I was in Florida when that hit.
the
Uh,
toilet paper gold rush, I call it.
I know. I'm like, oh God, they make the announcement or
Whoa.
whatever, and I'm like, okay, whatever. And I walk down the street to go to the store, and everybody's got toilet paper. What the hell is that all about? You know, I mean, it's a
Just
psyops.
the worst thing you can think of losing at that time is and being
Yeah.
out of his toilet paper.
The whole
I mean,
country bought
okay,
the whole country
okay,
bought it. But
okay.
what's interesting too is that watching the collective energies
Yeah.
play out and mirror our own, as we were talking about a while ago. Like, I get a couple of quick examples I just noticed in the last couple of days. One of them. was Bobby Kennedy went into Congress apparently yesterday and started laying the law down and saying, hey, autism is connected to vaccines, and they covered up COVID lab results, and and a lot of nasty stuff. And so then
There
the
sure
people
is.
were arguing with him. He's like, yeah, but you got $655,000 from the pharmaceutical companies. So that was one of them, seeing the truth come out, right? Now, I don't really trust any of the media or any of this stuff because they've lied to us all this time, but at least you can see that metaphorically, like you were talking about,
Peeking out
seeing,
there a little bit at a time.
yeah, yeah, seeing things metaphorically. And then the other thing would be on the Epstein thing, like, because in the mix of all of that, what was forgotten was that these young women got hurt, right? Like it that
I
became like
know.
a sidebar issue. So they
Yeah.
had this all the thing, they're talking about this, talking about that, and they moved Maxwell here, whatever. And then I see these victims. There was several of them. I don't know if you saw it. There was like 8 or 10 of them. They did a press conference,
I saw
and they
something
came
the other day.
out, and oh my God, they said, listen, if they're not going to put the list out, we'll make our
Yeah.
own list. And
Yeah.
then to watch the energy of that hit the politicians, and so you can see that the progress is being made, but I think
Yeah.
that the focus has to remain on our individual selves,
I
because
believe
that's
so.
what's creating the ripples.
Yes.
Instead of, we've been conditioned to look for the proof and the evidence and the success out here, but it's not. It's all
No,
right
we
here.
have to be the cause. We have to take the
Yeah.
we're the cause. That's
Yeah.
the effect.
Yeah.
So we have to remember to keep our focus here. It's very difficult. Everything wants to pull your attention away. Boy, and I'm really working with that right now.
Yeah.
Just being able to focus and keep to my plan. So I've been, I've certified in hypnotherapy. I'm
Oh
going through
yeah.
naturopath practitioner courses right now.
What is it?
A naturopath practitioner,
Oh, nature. Okay. Yeah. 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 I got you. Yeah.
naturopathic medicine.
Oh wow! Congratulations. Yeah,
Thank
that's
you,
cool.
thank you. I've been
So
studying this stuff.
hypnotherapy. How long have you been doing that?
Um, I did that. When did I learn that? I learned that from a really great teacher and mentor, Marissa Peer in the UK, and
Hmm.
that was a year and a half long program of school, and it was
Wow.
pretty expensive,
Wow.
but it was worth every penny because it brought me so much more insights. I did that a few years ago, so I haven't actually jumped out and practiced yet. I'm just practicing on myself and still getting some other things lined up before I can actually put it all together and package it and put it out there,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
so that I can help my local community here. My concern is that with the medical establishment, everything that's happening there, making it so difficult, that there may be a time coming. Spirit told me
Yeah.
prepare in 2012. Prepare, get, go back to your skills in canning where you started on the farm. Remember how to grow things, can things. So I have dehydrators, I have herbs here, and I'm learning how to make medicinal herbs. I'm learning all those old skills again. Um,
Wow.
yeah,
And
so
then
it's,
the hypnotherapy thing too. That's cool because
I love that.
I had a lady on about 2 weeks ago, and she was a hypnotist, or whatever you call it. And so we started talking about it, and I had some questions. Like, what if I can't be hypnotized? I've had some experiences. What is it? And I learned a lot. But
Yeah.
the thing that I found most remarkable was in her telling of the story, what it did for her. Like, she practices and she's worked on 300 or 400 people or something like that. I don't remember, but she was talking about how she used it on herself,
Yes.
and that kind of opened up the conversation so I could understand. Oh yeah, well, I actually do that. Okay, that's what you
Yeah.
call being under hypnosis. Well, I call
Self
it,
hypnosis.
yeah, something else. But yeah, so that's huge. I mean,
Or
that's a
positive affirmations or whatever when you're in a very relaxed state. I mean, it's not, a lot of people are scared of it. It's nothing to be afraid of. My goodness. It's something that my particular technique is called RTT. It's rapid transformational therapy, which goes and does, you can do regression and you can take, and the students, we would practice on each other during the course of learning. And all of us would get insights into some of our deepest fears and deepest phobias and where certain behaviors came from. And it was very interesting. I realized that I had had insomnia for many years, and I realized that I had an association with the bed. I wasn't safe in bed because that's where, I was raped for one thing. That's where my dad used to come and kick us, get us when we were dead asleep, kick us into to go hunt for cows and get them back in the pen because they'd broken the fence or something. And it was always associated with trauma. So it was very difficult. But just to know that, just for that to bring itself up and show itself to me, was so beneficial. Just to know where it came from, where it began, and why, and know it doesn't have to continue. You know what I mean? It doesn't have to.
How
So I
how
use hypnotherapy on myself every night when I go to sleep. I love it. Emmett Fox, positive affirmations, Neville Goddard. I
Oh, I
love their,
love Emmett Fox. Emmett Fox was pivotal for me.
right? Me too. I
I
love
was
it.
23, and
Wow.
I was like in that space between. Yeah, I started really reading this stuff like at about 22,
Yeah.
and so there was like a lot of self-help books and inspirational books, and I
Hmm.
couldn't bridge the the programming, I guess, the conditioning I had, the perspective I had of spirituality as religion,
Hmm.
but I knew that wasn't it.
It was
And I could,
principles he's talking
yeah,
about.
I couldn't, yeah, exactly. I couldn't find the bridge. And then I found him at Fox, Sermon on the
Oh, right
Mount
on.
and Power Through Constructive Thinking. And that explained it all. I'm like, okay, I'm in now. I got it.
Right, right. Now
Yeah.
I understand. I
I
can
can
relate
see
to it.
the common thread of Christian, there's a
Yeah.
golden thread that runs through all of them, like the golden rule. It's in all the
Right.
religions. It's in all the religions. Yeah.
Do no harm. That's all.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's cool. Yeah. So, now how long do you feel, I mean, there's a case could be made that someone that wakes up today with let's just say the universal energy as it is today, and
Hmm.
how different it was, say, in 20 quicker than we did,
I
kind
believe
of
so.
thing, in a
Absolutely.
linear basis. But so I know I get that, but how long do you feel that it took you, or has taken you, or it may be still, I don't know, to really reach this point of seeing the other person, even if the person was a victimizer, an oppressor, an abuser, whatever, as the soul that they are, the purity that they are.
It still took me a long time. It took me a good 10 years to integrate the visions and the new information with the old information and dropping old beliefs and gaining new understanding and insight. And it's a heck of a path. It's a while. I mean, maybe people like Eckhart Tolle can just drop it like on a park bench at one time, but I don't think that happens for most of us. I think it's just a progression and it just depends on the individual,
Yeah.
how fast they can move through it.
Yeah. Yeah. Because that's the thing, and you see it. I still see it, like in the work I do, because I'll meet people. Like I met someone the other day, and their wake up was 2019, but
Mhm.
you couldn't have really tell unless she told you, like she told me. But I
Yeah.
think what happens is, you have these massive downloads, or whatever you want to call it, and then you kind of I mean, you can have a period of 2 or 3 days or weeks where you're like in this state, whatever, but
Hmm. Yeah.
then you land back in your human body,
Yes.
and all that stuff is still in there, clogged
Working
up,
itself
and
out.
yeah,
Hmm.
so it's kind of a strange part of it. Now, one thing I've noticed is, like, I went through in the 1st of June, it was like clockwork, like 14 years to the day the same things started happening. So my soul came in and gave me a heads up. You're about to head into the same thing y'all went through in those 12 years, like 2012 to 2024.
Right.
And
In a way, it kind of prepares us, I think.
yeah, it was almost like what I was getting, and I've said it on the show, is like from the 21st of December 2012 till the 21st of December 2024, that 12-year period,
Hmm.
that was phase one. And phase two is now. And that my
Mhm.
soul was saying, you're going to, first of all, in those first 12 years, what y'all came to do, you did. You just didn't feel like it, but you actually did it. And you did it against the grain, right?
Yeah.
And now the energy's working with you, the current's going with you. Um,
Hmm.
and God, I forgot why I got into that. But oh, I know what it was. So when the stuff happened to me 14 years ago, like what you were explaining that happened to you, and I was doing a lot of writing. That's when I started Soulogy and was sending the stuff up from the streets, right?
Mhm.
And what I would say is I'm experiencing something that's above biblical.
Mhm.
And there were times over those 12 during those 12 years where I would have psychic experiences, visitations, apparitions and just
Mhm.
stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
But something's happened this year. And to me, that same above biblical is sensation is there. Like I
Mhm.
feel like we're walking on hallowed ground, a lot like in the early days of the wakening up. Those divine episodes, and even when people tell their stories, you can feel it. Like
Yeah.
it's a very much it rocks your world, it rocks your ego, it rocks your soul,
Yeah.
it rocks everything, right? But are you feeling that we're in a different atmosphere now? Do you feel like that the magic's turning on or
I
something's
do.
different?
I
Yeah.
do. And I had just a couple days ago, I just had this, I was just enveloped in this energy of absolute possibility and love. And it was like almost out of left field. I'm still working on stuff too every day. I mean, I think like they say, it's a daily walk with Christ, whatever. You're in 3D, you're in 4D, you're in 5D, you're back and forth, and then you have to come into this stabilizing this field as make up your mind where you can, you
Right.
know, make up your mind, no more confusion. But yeah, it all feels rather biblical to me. Some people try to say, "Oh no, that was all for all those people back then, in Jesus's time, 2,000 years, 3,000 years ago. It was for that time for Rome back then." But what they don't understand is these are cycles,
Yeah.
and the cycle's going to repeat. Okay, it's just going to repeat. It's the progression of the equinoxes, and those cycles we can't get out of. What we do with them, I guess, is up to us.
Yeah.
But we're gonna be pulled along with it, whether we're ready or not, or whether we're awake or not, or you know.
Well, I mean,
And
that's you just described it. I think a lot of what's happening right now too is it's like you've been shown flashes of, let's say, 5D, see whatever it is, and
hmm
the higher frequencies or living in a harmonic, vibration or whatever, and with other people of the same,
hmm
and then you get dropped back in.
yeah,
And yeah, it's almost like what you just said. Like your soul comes in and says, "Okay, now make up your mind. Do you want to
yeah,
keep beating your head against the wall, or do you want to go out here and dance a jig?" And there seems to be a lot of stuff falling away or
yeah.
letting go of. Are you
Yes,
experiencing any of that?
absolutely, absolutely. Letting go daily, letting go of different things, different ideas, different impulses, different urges, different. Um, for me right now, it's really about focusing. And I think that the AI stuff and people on their phones. I came across a meme today. It was interesting. It said there's a reason they call it something to the effect that there's a reason they call it the cell phone because people are locked into it. They're
Oh, like a
in,
cell. Yeah,
yeah, yeah. And
yeah,
then that my mind wants a spider web on about cells and the cells in the body and the cells, and
yeah,
all the meanings of cells, and my mind kind of goes bonkers. But I think that we better hold on to our hats. I think it's going to get a little rough before it gets really good. It's always darkest before the dawn. I think that, but I also think that there's so many good things. And if your field is unified and your field is um, coherent, I think a lot of that stuff's just going to kind of go right
yeah.
right past you.
Yeah, it's as if you're impervious. I say that
Yeah,
like you're walking around in a Forrest Gump bubble,
yeah,
where
like you're in a different world than everybody
yeah,
else.
yeah,
Almost, just it's very odd.
yeah. And I do feel that and I've typically kind of cringed when people, because I'm a very positive, you know, over the top kind of thing. Like don't tell me this can't be done,
Right.
but the more I think about it and the more I see things. I do believe the distortion is going to get louder and louder and louder. However, I believe paralleling that is the personal growth of people like you. So
hmm
there's a counter to it. It's
Yes.
almost like what you described a minute ago. Like your soul says, "Okay, well, you're up here in the higher frequencies. Oh, and you're down here again. Which one do you want?" So it's almost like the masses will be able to observe and see that distortion. You
Yeah.
know, and then over here it may be at a local level from a human perception, or it may be a group or something, but they'll be able to go, wow, now what are these people doing? Because the thing about
right?
the
'Cause it's
thing
going to be
about
so
those,
opposite of what they're in that they're going to say, why aren't they like us? Why aren't they freaking out and panicking? And
yeah,
because,
yeah,
for one reason, because I know that one of the downloads I received was that we don't die. I know that.
exactly,
So
exactly,
what am I afraid of? I broke through the fear fence. I broke through that frequency fence, which is literally a fear fence. You
yes.
literally break through that when I face my death. So at that point, all these other little micro fears, and you can start dealing with all the little micro fears. And I mean, we have to be in some sort of survival mode at all times here. We have to integrate all the chakras, right? So, and work from
Mm,
all of them. Survival is also just a matter of fact thing. We have to eat, we have to shop, we
mm.
have to, you know, put our
We're
legs
not.
on, your
We're
pants on
not.
when
Who knows?
we got to
Maybe,
do the
yeah.
same thing
Maybe
for
we're
now,
reaching a point where, we just live off the sunlight, No, I get
right?
what you're saying. Yeah.
That would be cool.
But I've
And
always,
I'm open to all the possibilities, you
well, I've
know?
always had this thing where it's like, people would say about survive, and I'd be like, how can a soul survive if a soul never dies? But
True.
we're talking about the human container and the
Yes.
consciousness. See, that's another big thing to me. It's like the consciousness of the body, of like the human. Like 12 years ago, the human, from our perspective, was the redheaded stepchild at best of the universal family. Now, it's become a prominent player, and not only that, it's got all this. This is the real tech, right?
Yeah, it is.
So the
It's
nervous
amazing.
system, the gut feelings, the intuition, the power of the body. I mean, the body is a universe, right?
Yeah, it's amazing.
It can repair itself. It can. I mean, there's a bunch of stuff that's getting turned on just because of how we've altered, how we've transformed, and the new vantage point that's given us.
So I have
You
an
know,
example of that
yeah.
actually working in real time. So when I came off all that medication back then, right, I had this panic disorder. I had terrible panic attacks for 20
Hmm.
years,
Wow.
from my upbringing and whatnot. I was sitting in a donut shop one morning, and after some of this stuff had passed, and I was already living in my house by myself and come off the medication, and I finally just said, you know what, this isn't fear, this is excitement. And the minute I said that, it turned around, and I never had another panic attack after or since.
See,
Just like
see.
that. Just like
So
that.
yeah,
And my fibromyalgia was gone. I healed that. I'm scratching my head at the same time you are. And the screen is frozen. Did we run out of time?
no, you're good. You're good.
Oh,
It
okay.
it'll come back. No,
Okay,
I
there.
ran into something like oh, there it goes. Okay, it's coming. It's coming back. But but I ran into something like 2 or 3 months ago, and obviously with what I do, and really any of us that are in these circles, you see all kinds of things, modalities, processes, just different things. But and a lot of times for me, it's the way somebody explains something. And
Mm-hmm.
so, speaking of hypnosis, I did when I was talking to the lady, like, oh, well, then I must be doing it,
Right.
uh, different ways. But so what happened was the person was talking about how essentially they are the God, like it's a replication, a
Mm-hmm.
fractal, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the universe is the body.
Mm-hmm.
Their universe is contained in the body. They are the voice of God, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
And the process or method that they were using was that they speak to the body, that every cell in the body hears
Mm-hmm.
everything. And
Yep.
so I started playing with that. I
Yeah.
started speaking to my body,
Mm-hmm.
physical things, or that, like where I wanted to like strengthen my back or
Right.
get some information, and so I started doing this, and I haven't done it every day, but I've probably done it like every 2 or 3 days.
Mm-hmm.
And I like it.
I love it too.
It's got a visual to it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have to be, my eyes don't have to be closed. It's like an ongoing communion.
A
And
conversation you're having with yourself all the time.
you know,
Yeah. It's kind of like that. But I've been really working on that a lot too, because going through, like I said, I got pretty sick with COVID and whatnot, and then long COVID, and then I had influenza A on a flight one last September that I got a car accident, and last September I totaled my vehicle. It was not
Oh
my
wow.
fault. And yeah, but so I've been healing my back and going through different treatments for that and stuff too, having to play that, the game with the attorneys and the insurance and all that
Oh
stuff. And
wow.
so yeah, but what hit me about those situations, then I lost my little brother last year, the one that was schizophrenic, and they
Mm.
found him, passed away in a house over there, and he had wandered the world for like 20 years. Just nobody
Mm.
could help him. We tried so many times, and it couldn't be done. I just
Yeah.
leave him in God's hands. So, but I finally lost him. So I went through all that stuff last year, and I just realized I'm witnessing myself going through all this stuff, or the Colleen going through all this stuff, right?
Yeah.
And so, you're just witnessing yourself. You stay in that witness mode. You find yourself there more often, where you can witness your life, and you're not devastated by every single thing that comes and happens to you.
No.
Stuff's still going to happen, but it doesn't devastate you
Well,
like it might have when you were younger, maybe.
what's that saying that the old people used to say? Old people. I'm old one. I'm an old one now. What was it? If it don't kill you, what was it?
Makes you stronger.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
If it don't kill you, it didn't
That's
kill
true.
you.
It's
Like that's
true.
the last thing you want to hear when you go through the burner. It didn't kill you. But I'll tell you what, speaking of your brother, and I've spoken about this because I'm passionate about it. When I was on the streets, I met so many angels. Like
Hmm.
I was, you know,
Yeah.
not always, but I was, in some homeless. And
Yeah. I can't hear you. I
did
can't
you
hear
lose?
you. There you are.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh,
You cut
that's
out for a
weird.
second. That's
But
okay.
yeah, but what I'm
You were
saying
saying
is,
homeless encampments or something, even.
well, the people that I met on the streets,
Hmm.
like a lot of, you look at them and people think that there's something that they're not. Like I met a lot of angels. I met a lot of really intelligent people,
Yeah.
like extremely intelligent,
Right.
lit people. Now they may not be the type of person that could go work a 9 to 5 job, you know, or
Right.
fit in with conventional society. But I'm
Right.
telling you, these people were impressive, damn impressive.
Really. Wow.
Yes, a lot of the
That's so
people I met,
cool.
I'd say probably half the people I met, if you
Wow.
took the time to sit
Hmm.
with them, if you could look
Hmm.
past certain things at times, just depends. But yeah, and their stories were amazing.
Oh,
And
yeah, right.
so many of their stories were trauma based too.
Hmm.
And the other thing that shocked me too were the veterans. Like, like I mean, I met a guy sleeping under a bridge and all he had was his whatever you call it, the where you put all your stuff.
His
Uh
backpack, yeah.
yeah, this big long thing. What do you call those things? Duffel bag.
Okay.
And he had chosen to live in the street under bridges, and that was his way of life. He got a
Hmm.
check. He
Right.
could have gotten more benefits. I was trying to help him. He said,
Yeah.
"No, man." And he was like in Iraq for a couple of years, and
Hmm.
it messed him up.
Yeah.
But not messed him up in a way that he was crazy, so to speak. He was just made up his mind. This is how I'm going to live. I'm going
Hmm.
to live simple. I'm going to live like this because this is my world. This is all I need. And I'm like, wow.
Wow.
Yeah, because I was trying to help him. I thought he was in trouble, and he's like, "No, this is just what I want." You
Yeah.
know.
It's amazing. I took in actually during my early days when I was, living with my brother, um, and I called myself a newborn at the time. We took in
Hmm.
11 homeless people into the house, and we
Yeah.
thought we were going to be altruistic and really do a really good thing, right? It
Right.
was well intentioned, but I learned so much from that experience
Yeah.
because they're choosing where they want to be. They're
Exactly.
they're choosing where they want to be. Um, they
That's
they will
right.
take the help if you offer it, but they will also steal from you, and they won't be grateful, and they won't
Yeah.
appreciate it, and
Yeah.
yeah.
It's
So
a
I
mixed
learned
bag. It's a mixed
it's just a
bag. There's
mixed
no
bag.
question. Yeah.
Sure, I agree.
Yeah.
Some
But
of
there
them do
are.
want the help, but
Yeah.
others,
But
it's their lifestyle.
no, I'm telling you, there's a
Mhm.
lot of them don't want to. Like that guy. I had a
Yeah,
place. I offered him. I had 2 bedrooms. My
right.
kids were gone. It was right before I hit the road with Soulogy, and I was like, you need a place to come take a shower. No, 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 no. I'm like, okay.
Wow.
So to, it's yeah, but I think that's another a big lesson of the awakening of born again of
Hmm.
is to each his own. Stay in
To
your
each
own
their own.
lane. Yeah, stay in your own lane because
Yes.
I don't know anybody that's walking on water. Now, you get somebody walking on water and they want to go help people, that's okay. But if you're going to be
Right.
telling me this or telling me that, or even diverting your attention from yourself because you're
Hmm.
getting lost in the wounded healer archetype with
Right.
me or whatever that is, whatever fix you're
Hmm.
looking, yeah, we're starting to understand that, we
Yeah.
take care of ourselves and then
Hmm.
like begets like. And I think that's
Yes.
starting to happen. I really
I do
do.
too. I think
Yeah.
that's great because when we're all focused on our own life, we can make that happen. If
Mhm.
we're distracted on trying to fix everybody out there or help everybody
Yeah.
out there, then, frequently in my life, I've been the overgiver, you
Well,
know.
I
Oh,
think that runs in the through a lot of us, right?
right, until I
It
was
runs.
depleted and exhausted and full of resentment. And I
Yeah.
learned that
Yeah.
lesson. I'm still learning that lesson actually, because I'm naturally a giver. I love to
Yeah.
make food. I'm a great cook. I love to gourmet cook and I like to share my food with neighbors and
Me too.
whatnot and
Yeah. I love
stuff.
cooking. Cooking's like one of my favorite things.
It is
But no,
so
you're
alchemy
right.
in the kitchen.
Yeah, but you're right though. You end up getting resentful, and you're like, "Hey, you
Hmm.
took that from me.
Yes.
You keep taking it." And then finally, your soul come in and say,
Wait
Onion,
a second.
you
You,
gave it away.
yeah,
Okay,
you did that.
yeah, yeah.
They didn't
That's
ask.
that's a hard
You
that's a
offered.
hard lesson. I just
It
learned
is.
I just learned that in a really big way. Sometimes you learn things in waves, like three
So
or four waves, and man, this last one came in hard and heavy, and I'm like, man, I got it now. I get it.
right. Yeah.
I
I'm done.
get it.
Well, what I started learning was that my good intentions, the road to hell is paved with good intentions,
Hmm.
right? My good intentions were actually interfering
Right.
somehow. I didn't
That's right.
understand it exactly altogether, but I knew there was so much backlash, and I was always the one that ended up, getting hurt for helping. I'm like, what's going on? So I started paying attention. Maybe help isn't help unless
Well, I
you
mean, the thing
ask
is,
for it, or thing.
like you said, it's not appreciated, it taken
Yeah.
for granted, or, and what happens is, if you really look at it, uh, the overgiving was enabling what you're
Hmm.
seeing in the other person. So,
Exactly.
so this whole thing about saying no, and I think that's really what this whole thing comes down to. Like from
Yeah.
the beginning when you were talking, like you just said, this was happening, and I just said no, no more.
Yeah.
That's it, right? And so when we do that, that switch turns on. And I think the born
Yeah.
again thing that saying that they have in the Bible is it's not a one time deal either.
I don't think
It
so either.
it can be at any time. It's like Bob Seger's old song, "Turn the Page." Like at
Hmm.
any time you can just. What was that old thing they used to have back in the '60s where you
Etch a
would like
sketch.
etch a sketch, yeah, you just
Yeah.
clear it,
Just,
start
yeah,
over.
shake it and clear it and start over.
Yeah, I mean that's not bypassing. That's just saying I can't do anything about what's been done,
Hmm.
but I can start now, right?
Right.
And that
Right.
doesn't
I
mean
mean,
you might not have some appendages that are still adhered to you, but
sure.
that'll all
We're
come.
refining ourselves
Yeah.
slowly but surely. We're refining. It's a process of refining to me.
Yeah.
I think that, but I think we have to be careful there too, because if we're all trying to improve ourselves constantly, then we must have some idea that we're a damaged self that still needs improvement.
Well, I
There's
think
that
that's,
to
yeah.
consider too. So at
Yeah.
some point, I mean, how much improvement can we reach? It's like how much perfection can you reach,
That's a good point. That's a
right?
really good point. And maybe that's coming in the second half thing that for myself, I'm referring to. Well, no,
The
really,
sequel,
because it is a thought. It's being driven by what? Is it being driven that I'm not enough or that I'm
right?
not, yeah. And so the reality is that's a lie too. You know,
Exactly,
I'm, I
exactly.
am everything that was, is, and will be.
Yeah.
I am that. I am what you described, and so many people can relate to it. Where you rose above the earth, you're looking at all the
Yes.
points of light. You
I
can
am that
see
I am. I
good and
understood
evil.
that, what that
Yeah,
meant.
yeah,
That was, and when it says, be still and know I am God, that's like a personal mantra, not somebody
yeah,
else.
yeah. Absolutely. Yeah,
I,
yeah,
I, I internalized it.
yeah. I
So
did.
I
Yeah,
understood. And that was a difficult process coming out of a lot of the indoctrinated beliefs that I had, or the literal, let's call them indoctrinated literal beliefs,
yeah,
maybe.
yeah.
Those beliefs that were just taken on a literal basis were just totally misunderstood. completely
Absolutely.
misunderstood. And so once I got the understanding of what they actually meant, how to apply them, and how the principles within it, the metaphysical principles in there were working with
Mm,
energy and our intention and our perception and all that stuff, the pieces started fitting together. And what an amazing journey. What an
yeah.
amazing exploration of
Yeah.
self.
Yeah. And all the narratives go away too. All
Yeah.
the stories go away because it
Yeah.
is what you just described. And it's like, you only get one chance to do it right the first time. That's what I always tell myself. So which
Yeah.
to me means on this day today,
Hmm.
I can, take everything that I've been exposed to, learned, whatever,
Hmm.
and just do it a different way, do it a new way,
Yeah.
do it a better way, a refined way. And
Right. Make better choices, make wiser choices.
yeah, yeah. Well, that's
That's
how
all.
we learn, right?
Right.
You got to make choices to live. And
You gotta make mistakes,
yeah,
sometimes, but nothing is, as they say, really a mistake. You're just,
yeah.
you
Wow,
learn
what
what you
a
learn, and you learn at whatever pace you learn.
yeah. So what a wonderful way to get acquainted. It very intimate uh, session for me.
I
It's been
love that.
really, really good. I really appreciate it, and I really
Me
appreciate
too.
you stepping up for yourself and for everybody else, because everything we do for ourselves is, in this
Yeah,
fashion is everybody's benefiting from, and there's so
it
many
is.
people out there. So many. I wish we knew how many. It would probably blow the whole
Right?
game open though
Oh
if we
my
did.
God, right? I am
But
so grateful to so many of my, you can call them other selves, you can call them brothers and sisters, however you want to take
mm,
it, but I'm so grateful to so many of the people that have touched me on my journey with their teachings, with their insights, with their
mm,
understandings, with their own personal work. There are some amazing souls out there.
yeah. Well,
Amazing souls, and I
you're
honor
one of
you
them.
all. Thank you. I honor them all. I honor you, Todd. I think
Mm,
that, I just love everybody.
yeah.
I don't always like them, but I love them. I was like
Yeah,
myself.
I have that feeling. I'm like, I actually have that feeling. I'm like, I
Both
love
things
them.
can be true.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah. Or it'd be more like, I don't like the way you treated me, or,
Right.
but I love
Right.
you, but, I don't put up boundaries, and I don't cut cords and all that. But, that's just
Yeah.
me. Because I don't
Yeah.
think, for me, I can't detach from that which I know I'm always connected to. So,
True. That's a good way to look
I
at
don't
it.
want to go down that road, because if I put up walls, I know I have to take them down. I think
That's
sometimes you
true.
have to get into proper,
I think you do.
stability and balance, and good health, I guess you would say.
Hmm. You
But
do.
but listen, I hope we can do this again sometime. You never know. But that's
That would be
another thing.
great.
You never know. You never know if you're going
You
to
never
wake
know.
up. So I hope to see you on this side. If I get out that way, or if I don't
Oh,
see you on
that'd be
this side, I'll see
great.
you on the other side, or maybe both.
Absolutely. I loved everybody.
You take
Thank you so
care.
much, Todd.